Oh, yeah. 1-800-449-8255. The Clark the Shark Show. Oh, baby, you're on it. You're just surfing YouTube and stumbling on new shit. And guess what? You just stumbled upon the Clark the Shark Show. Coming to you from the golden EIB Sharkerphone, the world's greatest sharky, the Sharkadoodle-Doo. Baby, you know I'm gonna give you a review of the KINKS Sleepwalker. Ho ho ho, and what an album it is. This album is the first KINKS album on Arista Records. Clive Davis, oh boy. You know Clive Davis, that guy that pays you 1/10 of 1 mil, 1% of your musical royalties, and like, he pays you so little, like Whitney Houston couldn't even fucking buy crack, man. She ended up dead at 1-800-449-8255. Who knows what she was doing in her final days. I know she had no money. But I guess I can't blame Clive Davis because he loved the KINKS, who were on RCA Records for all those amazing albums during the KINKS golden period, from Face to Face all the way to Schoolboys in Disgrace. Now, this album, Sleepwalker, is kind of a new beginning for the KINKS, 1977. And what's weird is in 1976, the KINKS had no record out. And that never happens. Every year of their existence, there's a KINKS album, but not in 1976. And, probably because they got dropped by RCA after Schoolboys. But I really consider Schoolboys in Disgrace the beginning of the so-called KINKS arena period, because I love that album, 1975. It's totally different from those other RCA KINKS albums. I mean, the KINKS, it's almost like they were desperate to stay on RCA, so they made a great kick-ass album, man, with Schoolboys in Disgrace, 1975. What an album. It sounds nothing like that one, Star Maker, soap opera where Ray changes places with the guy, the ordinary man. That's kind of a cool, funny album. But of course, Schoolboys in Disgrace is an amazing KINKS album. But in 1977, with Clive Davis taking the KINKS over to Arista Records, it was a new beginning for Ray Davies in the KINKS. And this amazing album, Sleepwalker, would be the KINKS debut with Clive Davis, baby, and Arista. And oh man, this is one of my favorite KINKS albums. I mean, I'm not going to say it's one of their best, for sure. I don't think it's as good as the next one in 1978. Called Misfits. No way. But I would give this thing like 5 or 4 stars, and somebody gave it 3.5 stars. Look at that. Somebody gave it a 2. Who gave Sleepwalker a 2? Blender? The fuck does Blender know? Well, Life on the Road is an amazing song. Oh, man. I love Ray Davies. And Schoolboys in Disgrace, 1975, was a big upgrade for the KINKS. I mean, they had to take it to the next level on that album. And then no album in 76. But this debut for Arista, and Life on the Road just greets you, and you're like, wow, what is this? Amazing song. And of course, Mr. Big Man, the second song on the Amazing Side 1. Um, it's a good song. I like Mr. Big Man. I mean, I always listen to it all the way through, but I would love to have rearranged Mr. Big Man and developed that chorus part a little more, and, only things that Clark the Shark knows, little songwriter tricks. But who knows, I could be wrong. Maybe Mr. Big Man is fine just the way it is with Raymond Douglas Davies. And of course, Sleepwalker. I mean, probably one of those Kinks big hit songs. And the first one in a while for the Kinks. Ever since, I don't know, maybe Celluloid Heroes. Although I love the Yellow Album, the Purple Album, and, the one where Ray changes places with the ordinary. The ordinary people, the ordinary people. But, and then, of course, Schoolboys in Disgrace has a lot of great songs on it. I don't know if they're big hits like the song Sleepwalker, but yeah, man, there's no doubt about it. Sleepwalker was on the radio a lot when I was 12, 1977. And of course, the song Brother, is dedicated to Dave, because they're always fighting, Dave and Ray. Ray never lets Dave get many songs, on a Kinks album. And I kind of think Ray is afraid of Dave, because Dave writes really interesting, good songs, man. He really does. At 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show. I love the song Brother, man. You're my brother, though I didn't even know you today. I've discovered. I love it, man. And Dave is singing backup on that. It's awesome. And then Jukebox Music, of course, another Kinks classic and a hit song that we all know. And I heard plenty on the radio in 1977, 78, and 79. Of course, baby, Jukebox Music by Ray Davies and the Kinks. And as you can see, this album got a couple of hit songs and really good songs. Sleepless Night, I love it, man. That's like a Dave Davies. I love it. He's like writing a song about his neighbors, in the upstairs, they're rocking the bed, and let's keep it clean, Sharky. We're gonna stop it right there. 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show. I love Sleepless Night. Dave Davies singing. You gotta have a Dave song on a Kinks album. Come on. And then these final 3 songs are different from the rest of the album. They're like their own little rock opera. Stormy Sky, amazing. It should have been a hit song, but I could say the same thing about Full Moon. And then Life Goes On definitely should be a huge Kinks hit song, man. These 3 songs are so special to me. I love Stormy Sky. It's like a mellow little... It almost sounds like Joni Mitchell or Stevie Nicks or something could have sang it. It's so good. But Full Moon, I love it, man. I love that song, Full Moon. It's so amazing. And Life Goes On, definitely one of the best Kinks songs. You know what? This album, Clive Davis was right when he signed Ray Davies and the Kinks. And they decided to make this album Sleepwalker 1977 because, I like Misfits. Misfits is a classic from 1978. One of the greatest albums in rock and roll history. But there's something to be said about Sleepwalker 1977 on the Clark the Shark Show. 1-800-449-8255. I'm coming to you from the golden EIB Sharkraphone. That's right. You didn't die and go to heaven. You're just sitting there listening to the amazing wit and the amazing brain of the fabulous Sharky, right here on the Clark the Shark Show. It ain't Little Steven's underground garage, baby. Forget all that. You don't need Little Steven. You just need Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. And I'm telling you to go buy Ray Davies and the KINKS Sleepwalker. Even if Clive Davis takes all the money and he pays Ray 1/10 of 1 mil, or 1/10 of 1% royalty, and he's bean counting, and he's like, well, Ray, I promised you 1/10 of 1.125th of 1%. Ray. Sorry, Whitney. You shouldn't have signed with Clive Davis at Arista, or whatever label he was on. You'd still be alive, Whitney, if you didn't ever mess around with Clive Davis, let me tell you. And many other musicians will tell you they had to tour themselves to death just to make some money, because Clive Davis was their A&R, their CEO or whatever. At 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. But let me tell you, man, Ray Davies will never fail you. And Sleepwalker, this 1977 album, it does not let you down. You crank this album up loud and listen to every song on this 1977 Ray Davies classic, and you're going to realize this wasn't a transitional album, or maybe it is, but it's more like one of the KINKS' greatest albums. To Clark the Shark, what is this album on a scale of 1 to 10? I give this album a 13, man. It's a classic, 5-star album all the way. Sleepwalker, Ray Davies, the KINKS. But after this album, the KINKS would get even better on a whole bunch of albums that I'm going to review. After this one, of course, we know before this one how awesome the KINKS were on RCA. Preservation Act 1 and 2, amazing. The Green Album, 1972, was so amazing. And, of course, Muswell Hillbillies and Lola. Just going back in time, back to Arthur on Pi Records. Who cares if these records sell, don't sell? You gotta love Ray Davies and the KINKS, man. This genius poet. This irreverent, funny man. This Frank Zappa of weird rock and roll on the radio. Ray has got to be on the radio, and he always gets hit songs on the radio. He's not like Frank Zappa. Ray wants to be heard. He wants that funny, mind-blowing sense of humor, that weird deadpan Ray Davies weirdness. He wants it out there for people to hear, man. And on Lola, you hear it. On Arthur, with all those great songs. Victoria, you hear it. And it's weird how the albums that don't have really huge hits, like The Village Green and Schoolboys in Disgrace, are like the greatest albums, but they're not greater than this one, man. I love Sleepwalker by Ray Davies and the KINKS. It's so amazing. And I want you to buy it at iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. I want you to support Ray Davies, this genius, this funny, ironic guy that I could probably hang out with and sit down with. He'd be looking at me like, this Clark the Shark he's weird, man. What's he like? Lou Reed wouldn't even talk to me. Frank Zappa would just get up and leave. Pete Townsend would be like, get me away from this fucking Clark the Shark. But I think Ray would laugh. He'd be like, I don't really like this guy, but I'll sit here and have a donut and a coffee with him. I'll entertain him. He's like a character from one of my rock operas with the KINKS. Ray would entertain me. Ray would sit down with anyone, man. I'm not saying he's the world's nicest guy or funniest guy, but Ray would definitely give anyone a chance, even Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. Ray would, he'd definitely go home and write a song about me. You know, like the little 5'6" guy. No one likes him. Everyone hates him. Ray would have to write a song about that. He might even develop that into a whole rock opera. Who knows? He might even call it White Suburban Liars by the Greenhouse Effect. The rock opera. Ray Davies and the Kinks. Sleepwalker. 1977. I love it. And I respect Clive Davis and Arista Records for bringing the Kinks on board. Bringing the Kinks over from RCA, man. Whatever. And I know that Ray probably had to tour himself to death to make money, you know, when the Kinks got huge in the 80s. And, you know, he probably had to write hit songs and he had to write great albums just to keep up with the way he was getting screwed by Clive Davis. I mean, it's just true, man. You're going to hear it straight at the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255, the Wolfman Jack on crack. Clark the Shark, the world's greatest sharky. And you love it. You don't like it, you love it. At 1-800-449-8255, I come to you from the golden EIB sharkerphone. I'm like that black guy, that homeless guy, the man with the golden voice. But I got an even more golden voice, baby. I got the voice of the Sharky. And you're right here, hearing the testimony about Ray Davies and the Kinks. 1977 Sleepwalker. I love this album, people. And I want you to go buy this album, and I want you to support Ray Davies. This, you know, he's old, man. Ray is not going to be around much longer here in 2023. I'm sad to say that, you guys, but it's true. But you know, if you guys buy Kinks albums, you listen to Clark the Shark, and you know, you're like, man, I love that Clark the Shark, and just for him, I'm gonna go buy some Ray Davies and the Kinks Sleepwalker, or Schoolboys in Disgrace, or Preservation Act 1 and 2, and Misfits. Yeah, most of the money's gonna go to Clive Davis, but so what? Some of it might go to Ray at 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show, baby. And I hope you support Ray. And I hope you enjoy this amazing album. And I hope you play it, not because Clark the Shark told you to, but because you want to learn about Ray Davies on your own, man. And if you're a young person right now, born in 2002 or 2001, and you're curious about the Kinks, you want to know where heavy rock came from and concept albums and rock operas, man, you got to learn about Ray Davies and the Kinks, these amazing geniuses, and pick up some Dave Davies albums too. Make sure you find some Dave Davies online at Spotify and Amazon and iTunes, and you buy his albums, man. Because Ray and Dave, they may not like each other or whatever, but man, they're both geniuses, totally different. Dave is like abstract, and Ray is just like this irreverent, funny man. But they're both so old now, man. It's sad. We all get old and we all die. But before Ray leaves this world, I hope he reads, you know, or I hope he listens to the Clark the Shark Show and hears my review of Sleepwalker and all the other amazing reviews I do for Ray and the Kinks and all the other amazing music. Man, I want you to buy some Kinks and support Ray Davies at 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. And you just got the most accurate, fabulous review. And really, people, quite frankly, the only review you will ever need of Ray Davies and the Kinks, 1977 Sleepwalker. This amazing album that I love, one of the most amazing Kinks albums, one of the best Kinks albums. It's hard for me to say what's the best because all the Kinks albums are so great. They are all A+. Let me tell you, man. Ray Davies, genius, poet, lyricist, poetic, rock operas, concept albums, vaudeville, blues. He writes about reality better than Pete Townsend. He's funnier than Frank Zappa. And he's like, you know, Lou Reed thinks he's such a genius. But let me tell you, man, Ray Davies puts him to shame, people. But then again, Ray puts Clark the Shark to shame and everyone else on planet Earth. This guy is a rock and roll genius. Pretty much invented heavy metal, hard rock, and you name it, man. And rock operas long before Pete Townsend. This guy was writing concepts. You know, the Who got the idea for a quick one from stuff, that the Kinks did. I'm telling you right now. Just the witty little lyrics by Ray Davies. Everyone takes notice. Everyone. Frank Zappa, Pete Townsend, David Bowie, Paul McCartney, Lou Reed. Everybody loves Ray Davies. Everyone. Everyone. This guy was, is, and forever will be a rock and roll genius. And I love Ray. And this is Clark the Shark. And I'm out of here, people. Peace.